Hey guys, what is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the Property Source and Success Show. That means it's Friday, and I'm going to say something today that might offend a couple of people, and honestly, I don't care. I want to offend you. Look, here's the reality. If you've been in property for like more than 5 minutes, I would say it's almost certain that you have been fed an absolute buffet of shite. You know, things like just build an investor list, post content and the investors will come, offer them unrealistic returns, and you need to be working with loads of investors. You need to be spamming WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, WhatsApp message groups that are filled with like 1,000 people from a course. And then people wonder why they're skint. They wonder why they're stressed out. They wonder why they're spending their evenings begging strangers on Facebook to jump on a quick call, or why they're begging strangers on Facebook to send them across a deal page. So what I want to do in today's episode is break down the biggest investor lies that you have been told and sold, and the truth that actually gets you paid if you are running a deal packaging, property sourcing business. As we know, both of those terms are interchangeable. I prefer to call it portfolio building or property sourcing, but it is deal packaging all the same. Now, this is for you if you want proper investor clients, not Dave down the pub who wants 25% returns guaranteed and also refuses to pay you a sourcing fee. Trust me, in my 9+ years of doing this, I have met plenty of Daves, but I mean serious investors. I mean funded buyers. I mean portfolio building clients, people who do not message you and say, have you got any deals at like 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning? So let's jump into it. Now, lie number 1 is just build an investor list. Now, this one makes me laugh because people say it like an investor list is like a Pokemon collection. Gotta catch them all. No, you do not need 300 random people on a spreadsheet who downloaded, your PDF on how to build wealth through property. An investor list without trust is... well, it's just a mailing list. It's a pen pal list of strangers who will ghost you the second that you mention money. There's a truth to this. The truth is that you have to build trust with proof and that you have to have standards for your deals. If you want investors to take you seriously, you need 2 things, guys. Number 1 is you need trust proof. Things like evidence that you know what you're doing, a clear and professional deal pack, a clear and professional process that you are following, credibility indicators, experience, partners, mentors, coaches, track record, learning, whatever you've got. And you don't need to own, 74 HMOs and have completed 25 flips to have trust proof. But you do need to look and you do need to behave professional. The second thing that you need are deal standards. This is the bit that most property sourcers skip because it requires effort. Your deal standards have to be your non-negotiables. So that will be your minimum yield or cash flow on a deal, the area criteria, the strategy that you're working towards. What are your exits in case of contingency? What are your risk assessments and analysis? What are your refurb assumptions that aren't just based on how you feel on the day? Because if you do not have deal standards, then what you're essentially doing is you're sending investors anything, and then they treat you like you're sending them spam. And you will inadvertently be sent not only to the spam folder in their inbox, but also in their mind. If you do not have any standards, deal standards, you won't gain any respect from potential investor clients. In my experience, a better investor list is smaller, but much stronger. People who trust you, people who know what your criteria is, people who have money and are actually prepared to deploy it. And ultimately, that's the goal. The second biggest lie that you've likely been told and sold in property is that if you post content, then investors will come. And this is the one that gets people spinning on a hamster wheel and absolutely drowning in overwhelm for an eternity. And then what they do is they end up posting inspirational quotes. We've all seen it. Then they'll post market updates. Then they post photos of their coffee and their laptop like they're trading on Wall Street. And then there's nothing for weeks. Content is great. I love content. I produce content every single day of the week, Monday through to Friday. And I enjoy it. But content alone is not what's closing my investors. The truth is that the trust that I'm building with the investors happens in conversation. So if you want investors, you need to be opening these conversations, not posts that say, DM me if you're interested. Let me know if you're interested. You need conversations. And here's what I have found actually works best. This is speaking from my own experience, but equally from the experience and the results of the guys that I coach and who are doing this and seeing results inside the six-figure sourcing mastermind. So the first thing you want to do is you want to start with direct messages. Start simple. Do not come in like a sleaze bag, and do not come in with some weird pitch. Start with something along the lines of, hey Danielle, I saw that you're investing in property, or I saw that you're interested in property. I'd love to know, or I'm curious, what is it that you're focusing on specifically from an investment perspective this year? Or if you want to be even simpler than that, you could simply say, hi Danielle, just a very quick question. Are you actively buying in the market right now, or are you just keeping an eye on it? That's it. You are not proposing marriage. You're not asking them to get into bed with you. You're simply starting a conversation. Then you go back to your referral loop. And this is pure gold. This is where the gold is. Ask every investor, every contact, and every professional, who do you know right now that's sitting on money who wants property exposure or experience but doesn't want the headache? I'm going to repeat that for you again. Who do you know that's sitting on money right now that wants to get into the property market, that wants to expand their portfolio this year, but they don't want the headache? And if you're thinking to yourself, well, Danielle, I'd feel a wee bit awkward asking that, good. Then you can continue to be shy, you can continue to be quite awkward, and you can continue to complain about the money that you're not making over the things that you won't do. It's as simple as that. Seriously, you can do it. And you can do it cleanly and you can do it professionally. A referral loop means that every conversation leads on to the next one. That's how you build momentum without dancing on TikTok or Instagram in the hope that you will get attention. The third biggest lie that you have likely been sold or told is offer amazing returns. Now, let's be very clear and call a spade a spade. This one is dangerous. Because when people don't know what to lead with, then they'll start talking about mad returns. We can get you 15 to 20%. We can give you guaranteed returns. This deal is a no-brainer. If a deal is a no-brainer, then why are you selling it to me, Sharon? Think about that one. If it's a no-brainer, why are you chasing me for a 3K fee on it? Why aren't you buying 10 of those, Sharon? The reality is investors want certainty and they want clarity. Serious investors, they don't want fairy tales. As an investor myself outside of portfolio building, I can tell you what I value the most when a sourcer comes to me. I value clear numbers. I value the clear risks that are set out. I value a plan. I value what the exits are. I value a clear timeline. Your investors want to feel like they are in a safe pair of hands. They do not want to feel like you're trying to sell them a used car. So instead of shouting about returns, which can be dangerous, has all sorts of implications with the Financial Conduct Authority, but I am not a financial advisor and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm simply pointing out to you that you should tread carefully where matters of interest and guaranteed returns are stated. But instead of talking about returns, lead with certainty and clarity. For example, you could say, here is the purchase price. Here are the costs as we have best analysed, and here is a conservative refurb on it. Or you could say, look, here is the expected rent, and I have backed this up by letting agency evidence. Here's a list of that evidence. Here's what the downside scenario would look like, and if that downside scenario looks likely, then here's what we would do to mitigate it. Here are the two exit options that we've looked at. That kind of conversation is what makes a grown-up investor say, okay, perhaps that Danielle is serious. Perhaps that we can have a serious conversation with her about moving forward. A real professional property sourcer doesn't sell the upside, but they manage the downside. And being open and honest about that is what will get you trust and credibility. Line number 4 that you have been sold and told, and I've heard this a million times, is that you need hundreds of investors. And this is probably my favorite because it creates absolute pandemonium. People then start to think, well, if I can just get 50 investors on my list, then, that should be okay. No, because what happens at that point is you'll have 50 different opinions, 50 different time wasters, 50 people asking you if you can just send them something in Manchester that, cash flows £800 net a month and they want to buy it for £60,000. The truth of the matter is you need 2 to 3 and in my case, 3 to 5 portfolio clients. And we can make that very simple. You don't need a crowd. You need a tiny group of serious investor buyers. 3 to 5 portfolio clients who have funds, who buy what I call in bulk or repeatedly, who trust your process, who pay you properly, and you do not need to hold their hand like a toddler at the side of a swimming pool. That is how you build time freedom, by the way, into your business. One-off deals are great, and I'm all for the one-off deals. I built the entire business off the back of that, but they're also inconsistent. Portfolio clients are very boring, but they're also very profitable and predictable. And I would rather boring but profitable all day long. So the question I want you to ask yourself is, are you building a business that relies on constantly hustling? Or are you building a business that relies on relationships and repeat buyers? I really want you to think about that today. You do not need a massive investor list. You need trust and deal standards. You don't need to post more. You do need to open more conversations and have more referral loops. You should not be talking about amazing returns, but you do need to talk about certainty and clarity. And you don't need dozens of investors. You need anything between 2 to 5 portfolio building clients. You do not need more investors. You need better ones.